Yes. So the product of the day is carrier's legal liability insurance. Carrier's legal liability insurance is one policy which is required by a specific segment called transporters, carriers, and logistic firms. In fact, they are the people who are engaged in transporting the goods from one place to other place. They are the people who are using the methods of sending the goods through road routes. They are the people who are only the custodians of the goods, but they need the carrier's legal liability insurance. Why? Because when you are sending some goods from one place to another place, you have to look for the options, what options are available with you. Because nowadays every facility is available. If you want to send it through waterways, port-to-port facility is there. Many options are there, by ship, by steamer, by boats, or any kind of one. You can send the goods. If you have opted for the airways, still options are there because air cargo carrier, helicopter, or any air device including drone can deliver the goods. Third one is the railway, which may be the largest one to transport the goods from one place to another place. And for that purpose, railways are running the specific goods trains for carrying the goods of any kind. It may be a solid, liquid, or whatever it is. And the most popular one is roadways. Because when it comes to roadways, GCCVs are used, goods carrying commercial vehicles are used by the transporter firms, carrier firms, or logistic firms to carry the goods from one place to another place. But these GCCVs could be of many types, for example, light commercial vehicles, medium commercial vehicles, and heavy commercial vehicles in different formats like tanker, refrigerated vehicle, open body, closed body. So all these type of GCCVs are used for carrying the goods, and we are concerned with the roadways only because this policy is meant for the carriers. Carriers legal liability insurance policy is meant for the roadways, road routes only. The firms engaged in carrying the goods from one place to other place are transport firms, carrier firms, logistic firms, and they are using the most common method, that is through road route only. Now the question is why the carrier's legal liability insurance is important. Because whenever there is a movement of the merchandise or cargo from one place to another place, it creates a risk of them being damaged during the transportation or in other occasions. So if the goods are damaged in transit, the owner of the goods or the marine insurer, in case of subrogation under marine policy, may sue the transporter for the losses. It means transporter has the responsibility to pay the compensation to everyone. Whosoever is the owner or is having any insurable interest in the goods is entitled for the compensation in case of loss or damage. So carrier's legal liability policy is one policy which comes to the rescue of the transporters or logistic firms to cover such liabilities. Because anybody, whoever is sending the goods from one place to other place, may choose any of the options to get it insured or not to get insured. If it is not insured, simply in case of loss or damage during the transit, he will claim the compensation from the transporter. But in case he has got the insurance, that means he would definitely like to avail the insurance facility to avail compensation on the lost or damaged part of his goods. So in that case, suppose he is claiming the compensation from the insurance company, insurance company under the contract of insurance will definitely pay the compensation to the extent of the reasonable loss or damage. But at the same time, they will take the subrogation letter from the insured because he has already been indemnified. So it is the duty of the insured to give a subrogation letter in favor of the insurance company, transferring his all the rights and remedies. On that behalf, the insurance company will recover the compensation paid to the insured from the transporter firm because they are the people who are responsible to pay the compensation because they are the people who have caused the loss or damage to the goods during the transit operations. That means, under both the circumstances, it is the duty of the transporter to pay the compensation either to the insured or to the insurance company. But he cannot escape the liability. Under such a situation, the carrier's legal liability policy comes to the rescue of the transporter firm to cover such liabilities. Means this is a scenario where the transport firm cannot save his liability if at all there is any loss or damage to the goods of any owner which he has given for transportation from one place to another place, and he has also paid the freight for it. Because in lieu of freight only, the transporter is carrying his goods from one place to another place. So they are the people who will take this policy, transporter firm, logistic firm and carrier firms. Because this policy is issued to road transport corporations working as carriers of cargo or goods. Vehicles can be owned and hired or chartered because they may use different kind of vehicles for carrying the goods. As far as the ownership of the vehicles is concerned, maybe all the vehicles are belonging to the transporter firm or transporter firm may be owning some vehicles. Remaining vehicles are hired. So if they are taking the carrier's legal liability insurance policy, all these vehicles will be insured under the carrier's legal liability insurance policy because all of them are used for carrying the goods. So carrier's legal liability covers legal liability of the road carriers for actual physical loss or damage to the goods or merchandise or cargo, while such goods or merchandise are carried by them under the contract of carriage. So the scope is a little wider because not only in the transit, but even in the loading and unloading of business, if there is any loss or damage to the cargo, still it is the duty of the transporter to pay the compensation. Now the policy cover has very limited scope because fire, explosion and accidents are covered. At the same time, the negligence or criminal act of the insured employees or representatives or servants of the transporter is covered. But the risk like riot and strike and terrorism are not covered. We have got the add-on cover whereby we are covering these risks on payment of additional premium. That means on payment of additional premium, policy coverage will be extended to cover loss or damage due to riot and strike and terrorism. But this is absolutely optional. If the insured want, he can take. If he is not interested to take, this risk will be excluded. Now this policy can be issued for 12 months only. That means this is an annual policy, can be issued even for a short period but not more than 12 months to the reputed transport firms. But there is a precondition that the transporter must have a comprehensive or package policy for all his vehicles which he is using for the transportation purposes. So all those vehicles should be independently insured under a motor package policy throughout the period of carrier's legal liability insurance. This is a precondition. Even if they are insured with a third party policy, that will not serve the purpose. A comprehensive package policy is required. Because unfortunately on the date of loss, if it is found that the transporter was not having a comprehensive package policy for that vehicle on that particular day, that means the carrier legal liability policy will not pay any claim. So this is a precondition that has to be complied with by the transporter firm. Now subject vehicle must be roadworthy in a roadworthy condition, and this roadworthy condition will be certified by a fitness certificate issued by the RTO. Fleet policy can be issued. Single policy for all vehicles owned or hired by the insured can also be issued. But normally transporters are taking the fleet policy because all their vehicles can be issued in one policy only. That will save the time and the paperwork. So maintenance of proper record for each vehicle should be there. That is maintained through the logbook. All transporters are maintaining the logbook for making the entries of the individual vehicles on a everyday basis. Other document is consignment note for each vehicle must be properly recorded. Consignment note is the list of goods to be sent. So both these documents are required not at the time of insurance but at the time of claim. Insurance company will ask for them. Now coming to the duration. The commencement of cover will start from place of origin with loading of cargo or goods or merchandise on the vehicle. Means point of origin, where from this journey will start, point of discharge, where to the vehicle will go. This is also known as the final destination. So the risk is covered from point of origin to the point of discharge. But at the point of origin, risk is also covered during the loading operations. So when the cargo is loaded, even if there is any loss or damage to the goods at that loading period, that is also covered. That means even if the journey has not started so far and the goods have started damaging or losing, that risk is also covered under the carrier's legal liability insurance policy because the loading operations are covered. After loading, when the journey starts, during the journey period or during the transit period, if any loss, accident, fire, explosion is there, still the risk is covered. And if it has reached to the point of discharge or final destination, cargo is unloaded, the risk is over. But if the cargo is not unloaded, because of the shortage in the godown or there is no space in the godown, so cargo or the entire goods is still in the vehicle. Vehicle is parked in the loaded condition. There is every possibility of loss or damage in the goods. So in that case, the goods will be covered on the first day, second day and third day. On the fourth day, the risk will be terminated. That means policy ends with the unloading or expiry of 3 days, whichever is earlier. So the commencement of cover will start from place of origin until the same is unloaded at the point of discharge or expiry of 3 days from arrival of the vehicle at the final destination, whichever is earlier. So this is the most favorable point for the transporter or carrier firms because they will definitely look for the time gap, maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. That will give them the comfort because of the times. Whenever the vehicle is reaching to the destination, it is not guaranteed that the vehicle will be unloaded on the same day. It all depends upon the space in the godowns. So it may take 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. That is the reason they need this comfort. And they always look for this comfort that the relaxation of some 2-3 days at least must be there. So that we have provided in our policy because policy ends with the unloading or expiry of 3 days, whichever is earlier. Now while rating the policy, 3 things have to be considered: gross vehicle weight, limit of indemnity and add-ons. This gross vehicle weight is taken from the registration certificate of each vehicle. This is mentioned in the RC itself. And RC is a document issued by the RTO, so it is a valid document. Second is limit of indemnity, which is decided by the transporter firm, because he is the person who better knows what is the turnover of the transportation business during the entire year. So he will definitely prefer to cover that total turnover amount in the policy. So he or the transporter firm or the logistic firm will decide what limit of indemnity they want to be covered under the policy and what add-on they want to select out of the available 2. So these are the 3 factors which are considered for rating the policy. Now 3 more factors are there which will provide the discount and loading considerations, because discount is normally provided on the type of body. Fleet, larger is the fleet, bigger is the discount. Good parts claim history and other parameters like age and fitness of vehicles and type of cargo. So on this basis, underwriter can consider the discounting in the premium rate. But the policy is subject to compulsory excess of 2% on claim amount. That should be minimum 5,000 rupees for each and every loss. It can differ in case of terror. So the company or the insurance company which has issued the carrier legal liability policy will not be liable under certain circumstances, which are also known as the exclusions of the policy. And the first one is third party death, injury or property damage claim, because these are the losses which are excluded from the carrier legal liability policy for the simple reason that this is a risk which is covered under the motor package policy of the transporter firm. And the transporter firm has already taken a package policy for each of its vehicles, which is used for carrying the goods from one place to another place. So this liability will go to the motor package policy. Contractual liability is excluded. Goods belonging to any servant, agent, subcontractor of the insured is also not covered. Rot and strike is not covered, but it can be covered on payment of additional premium. Act of terrorism is not covered, but it can be covered on additional payment of premium. Inherent defect or vice is not covered, but it has to be identified in isolation, because it is difficult to ascertain what is the cause of loss. This inherent defect or vice is excluded just because without accident, without explosion, without fire also, the entire stock of the goods in the vehicle can get damaged or lost. Without any accident, without any fire, without any explosion, or without any negligence even. Because the properties of the goods can damage the stock. This inherent defect or vice is mostly applicable to the perishable goods, where the decay of the goods is possible. Such goods could be vegetables, fruits, and edible items like milk products. Then consequential losses, depreciation, delay, loss of market or consequential loss. Change in law, refusal for agent, refusal for grant of any necessary permit, license from government or authority, or contraband goods. That means contraband goods means any good which is not permitted to carry, like drugs, liquors, chemicals, etc. And documents, in case documents are not available like permit and fitness certificate, etc. Actually, the insurance company will not pay the claim. Maybe the claim is absolutely genuine, but since he has not complied with the documentary requirement, the claim can be rejected. And see, in case of claim, the procedure is absolutely simple, nothing is required, except that the immediate intimation has to be given by the insured or by the transporter firm to the insurance company under the policy that certain goods or cargo has been lost or damaged. So the moment insurance company received the information, they will cross-check the insurance policy, and when they will find that yes, this liability is covered under the policy, in that case they will depute a surveyor and he will immediately rush to the place of incident, where he will physically verify the loss, will take the photograph and inspect the loss, and thereafter will make the assessment report. On that basis the claim will be settled. So immediate notice is required, and on receipt of immediate notice the company will come into the action. In case the immediate notice is not given, insurance company didn't got the opportunity to physically inspect the loss, in that case the assessment of loss would be very difficult, because once a vehicle is removed from the place of incident, then it is difficult to actually assess the loss. So it is always better to give the timely intimation to the insurance company. Not only that, at the time of loss, the insurance company will ask for certain other documents also, and these documents are more relevant to settle the claim, because in the absence of these documents, insurance company cannot settle the claim. So, for example, first of all, this is a precondition that every vehicle of the transporter firm will be insured under a comprehensive or package policy. So, the insurance company will ask for the motor package policy of that vehicle which was carrying the goods, and the goods has been damaged, and that policy should be found valid. It is not the case that the policy was there and it has expired 1 or 2 days before. And in that case, the policy is not valid. Insurance company will not settle the carrier's legal liability claim unless the valid motor package policy is there. And then the vehicle registration certificate to endorse details provided in motor policy. And then agreement letter black and white means written, carrier and principals. Because if the goods is carried under any agreement, there has to be a copy of agreement letter. And the goods may be a specific one. Say example, any manufactured product, maybe clothes, cements, wooden items, metal items, whatever it is. And then certificate of registration. This is one certificate which is issued by the Transport Department, not RTO, under the provision of Carriage by Road Act 2007. So this authorization is to transact the transportation of goods from one place to another place. That means this is an authorization or you can say legal authorization by the respective authorities. On this basis, the transporter can do the transportation business, and normally they are displaying this kind of certificate in their offices. Then fitness certificate in case age of vehicle is more than 10 years, every kind of vehicles. Other for commercial, maybe whatever is the age, fitness certificate is required. Proposal form or claim forms are required because the detailed version of the incident has to be there. Incident means cause of loss, how the goods have been damaged, what is the cause of loss, whether it is coming within the purview of the coverage of the policy, that is fire, accident, explosion and negligence. If it is covered by any of these four reasons, then only the insurance company will settle the claim. Then goods receipt. GR, this is one or another important document which is issued by the transporter firm to the owner of the goods, providing the brief detail of the goods which he has handed over to the transporter firm to send it from one place to another place. That means this GR is a document which is having a little detail or brief detail about the goods handed over to the transporter firm for sending it from one place to another place. And the GR will be required at the time of claim to finalize or to cross check that yes, this is why the item sent by this vehicle, who is the owner, what is the quantity, what is the weight, what is the valuation. All these things can be cross-checked from the goods receipt or billing or GR in short. And then good forward note. This is a document issued by the transporter firm to other transporter firm confirming the detail that whatever goods they are sending from this vehicle. So that will do to the another transport firm there where the goods will be unloaded. So for that purpose, these documents are required, and on the basis of these documents only the insurance company will settle the claim. Not necessarily all the documents are required. In case any of these documents can be spared, actually the claim will be settled, but these are the normal documents. Additionally, certain details, documents can be asked. Suppose the losses caused by fire and the transporter firm also called the fire brigade to extinguish the fire. In that case, fire report can also be called for. Then coming the information required for carrier legal liability quotes means a bare minimum information is required on the proposal form or the proposal slip. Only on that basis the underwriter will evaluate the proposal and decide the premium rates and will take the decision about the acceptance or rejection of the proposal. This detail is most important because this is provided by the proposer who is taking the policy, because he is better person who knows the entire detail. Say for example, number of vehicles to be covered. He is the person or the firm which will give the detail of the vehicles, how many vehicles they are having, how many vehicles they are hired, and in total how many vehicles have to be insured under the policy. Then gross vehicle weight. This gross vehicle weight of each vehicle can be taken from the registration certificate because that is the valid document issued by the Regional Transport Authority. Then insured will confirm about the purchase of add-on covers, whether he wants the right and strike and terrorism or both. He can decide himself because each add-on cover is having the additional premium rate. Then what is the type of vehicle body? Because the vehicle used for carrying the goods could be of different types of body. For example, a normal truck or a tanker or a trailer or a refrigerated vehicle. These all are used for transportation of goods as per the requirement. Because if some liquid is to be sent, for example, the petrol, diesel, gas, milk, water, or any other liquid, the trailer is required. Some edible items or food products are to be sent. Refrigerated vehicle will be used. So, all vehicles are subject to insurance under the carrier legal liability policy. Rather, they provide the better option to give them the discount because these are the specific vehicles where the chances of loss or damage are lesser. Because they are meant for carrying such goods and they can properly be utilized for that purpose. Then type of cargo. Age of the vehicle can be taken from the registration certificate. Age of the vehicle means date of manufacturing, date of registration. It is already mentioned in the registration certificate that can be taken. Then the type of cargo. As far as transportation business is concerned, transporters are carrying every kind of cargo. Maybe household goods, maybe grocery shops, grocery items, maybe food grain items, maybe milk or edible items. Each and every type of cargo can be carried from one place to another place because it depends upon me and you and the people what they are sending. Transporters' only duty is to take the goods from one place to the other place. But for that purpose, he can have certain type of agreement also because if he want to carry the goods of any specific nature, he can have the tie-up with those kind of firms. Say for example, he want to carry only the cement bags or he want to carry only the petroleum or diesel only. He want to carry any footwear items like that, whatever cargo he want to carry. But in normal circumstances, or the transport firm is sending mixed cargo in all the vehicles. Mixed cargo, mixed goods of number of orders according to the capacity of the vehicle. So that detail is required, what type of cargo the transporter firm will carry. Then past claim history. Past claim history means how many claims have been availed before the policy period by the same transport firm and what was the amount and what was the frequency. Means on one policy what was the number of the claims. Is a single policy required or a free policy required or separate policies for all vehicles is required? That has to be decided by the transporter firm because they are the person who will better decide according to their turnover. They understand what is their annual turnover, how much indemnity they have to take, what are their total number of vehicles, out of them how many of vehicles are owned by them and how many are hired. So all these details have to be given in the proposal form and the proposal will be sent to the underwriter who will decide the premium rate as well as the acceptability of this proposal. Now normally the transporters are going for the fleet policy because in case of more than one vehicle of the same insured can be covered in a single CLL policy. It will be called as a fleet policy where all the vehicles will be listed in the single policy with their respective details and sum insured. The motor package policy or comprehensive motor insurance policy is mandatory for the vehicles to get covered in the carrier legal liability policy. And at the same time, the no carrier or no insured need to know the comprehensive motor insurance. No claim will be payable under the carrier's legal liability if the motor or OD package policy is not in effect at the time of the claims and carrier's legal liability policy. Means insurance company will not pay any claim to the transporter firm if there was no package policy was valid on the date of loss. So the carrier's legal liability policy can be given to all type of cargo carriers, irrespective of goods carried. Subject to goods can be covered as per the underwriting guidelines. Because the goods which are not permitted to carry is coming under the category of contraband goods. That is not allowed. So there are common carriers or transporters who are registered under the Carriage by Road Act 2007. These are the common carriers or the transporters. So carriage legal liability policy is given to road transport companies working as common carriers of cargo or goods. Means any kind of transport firm or logistic firm or the carrier firm can take this policy, and to them, because they are engaged in sending goods from one place to another place, so this policy can be issued to them for their total number of vehicles. Now one important factor is that the policy is similar to the marine transit policy, because that policy is also covering the risk of goods in the transit. So at times the transporter may ask for the marine transit policy on annual basis to cover the risk of goods and damage lost in the transit. Here we have to explain, this policy, marine transit policy, is not meant for you, because this is for the owners. This is for the people who are having the insurable interest in the goods, and they can be seller or buyer, consignee or consignor. So whoever is having the insurable interest in the policy, they can take the marine transit policy. Here in case the transporter is not the owner of the goods, he is only the custodian. He is having that goods which is belonging to some other person in his custody for certain time, certain period. So the moment it is safely reached to the final destination or delivered to the person directed, in that case the goods will not be in his custody. So this marine transit policy is useful for them who are the owners or having the insurable interest in the goods. Moreover, this marine transit policy is not a liability policy, because this is taken by the direct first person, while this carrier's legal liability policy is a liability policy, because here transporter is taking the policy from the insurance company. The contract is between the insurance contract is between the transport firm and the insurance company, but the goods belongs to some third person, and that third person is the liability of the transporter, because he has paid the freight for that. So if the goods is insured on behalf of the third person under this carrier's legal liability insurance policy by the transporter, and the loss is paid by the insurance company, so that is possible only in the carrier's legal liability insurance policy. And the vehicles covered can be owned or hired or chartered and can be insured for shorter duration, and maximum policy period allowed in one go is 12 months. That means this policy cannot be issued for more than 12 months. However, it can be issued for less than 12 months, but including the vehicles owned or hired by the transporter. Now, one important factor is that under motor insurance policy as well as in the carrier's legal liability insurance policy, the under insurance is not applicable, because there is no provisioning of under insurance in the motor insurance policy, where the vehicle is insured on the basis of the IDV, that is insured declared value. So this IDV is decided by the table provided by the India Motor Tariff, and this is uniform to all the general insurance companies of India. On the same pattern, the IDB is decided. So every year, certain percentage which is given in the table of the IDB is deducted from the ex-showroom price. Then it becomes the market price of that vehicle. So vehicles are insured on the basis of the insured declared value, so they are not subject to under insurance, and their clause is not applicable on them. Similarly, in carrier's legal liability insurance policy, under insurance is not possible. Because whatever is the value of the goods, it is not known to the transporter firm, while the insured is transporter firm. So transporter firm, which is the insured, means the insurance contract has taken place between the insured, that is transporter firm, and the insurance company. But both are not having any insurable interest in the goods, because goods belong to some other persons. Rather, they are not even aware of the value of the goods, because whatever value is given by the owner of the goods in the GR, they are liable for that only. So under no circumstances the motor vehicle policy and carrier's legal liability policy will be subject to under insurance. No average clause will be applicable to these policies. The indemnity will be paid by the policy in full up to the AOA and AOY limits subject to policy directives. Now these AOA and AOY are two typical terms which are applicable to all the liability insurance policies. Because AOA stands for any one accident and AOY stands for any one year. And these both limits have to be selected by the transporter firm who is taking the policy care of carrier's legal liability. Now both the things are true. AOA means any one accident. AOA means any one accident. AOY means any one year. Both these things have to be decided by the proposer or the transport firm, because they are aware what could be their maximum liability in case of an accident, or what could be their maximum liability throughout the policy period. Because any one accident is important to decide that this is the maximum liability and there is no possibility of more than this limit in one accident. Say for example, this is the way of deciding the AOA limit and AOY limits. Say for example, a transporter firm is having the 5 tankers with them. And all those 5 tankers have an agreement with the Indian Oil Depot that they will take the petrol or the diesel and they will hand over to their own distributors. Now all the 5 tankers are engaged in carrying the goods, that is the petrol or diesel, from one place to another place, that is the depot to the distributors. Now that transporter firm wants the carrier's legal liability policy to cover all the 5 tankers under the one policy, that is fleet policy, and giving the AOA and AOY in the proposal form. So he is deciding the AOA. To decide the AOA, he will see what is the maximum carrying capacity as per the registration certificate of this one tanker. Suppose as per registration certificate, a tanker can carry 5,000 litre at a time, not more than that, because there is no more storage capacity in the tanker. So the tanker capacity is 5,000 litre, and the average price of the petrol or diesel is 100 rupees. So 100 into 5,000 means even if the total tanker is burned, exploded, accidented, in one time the liability cannot exceed more than 5 lakh rupees of goods only. This policy is concerned with the liability of goods only, not of the vehicle. Vehicle liability is covered under the motor package insurance policy, that is separate policy taken by the transporter firm, maybe with any of the insurers. So that liability is covered under that policy. Vehicle liability is covered under motor policy, third party liability is covered under motor policy, personal accident liability is covered under motor policy. In this carrier's legal liability insurance, only liability related to goods and cargo is covered. So that way, he has decided that there is no possibility of more than 5 lakh rupees in one accident of the tanker, or even the entire goods is leaked. Still the maximum liability is 5 lakh rupees. So this is the AOA. And AOY, all the 5 tankers are carrying these kind of liquids throughout the year, all 365 days. That means 5 lakh into 5 tankers into 365. Under no circumstances the total loss can exceed more than this one. So that would be the AOY limit. So for other goods carriers, sum assured can be the value of goods being transported as declared by the consignor. Again, who will decide what will be the required sum assured under carrier legal liability policy? Is the person or the firm which is taking the policy, because they are the right persons who are aware that what is their annual turnover. They can take the policy more than that, they can take the policy less than that, they can take the policy for the same amount also, whatever was the turnover in the previous financial year. So once they have decided AOA and AOY, premium rate will be applicable on these two limits. And premium rate is according to the cargo carried normally. Suppose here only this oil products are used. So they are of the category of most hazardous goods, more highly inflammable. So higher is the risk, higher is the premium rate. Premium rate could be 1 rupee, premium rate could be 80 paisa. And if the non-hazardous goods is carried, say for example, fruits, vegetables, clothes, shoes, furniture, the rate could be 10 paisa, 15 paisa, 20 paisa as per the prevailing rate of the market. Now, if this policy is given to any of the transporter firm, there has to be a specific mention of the cargo if there is any agreement between any specific company. Otherwise, the mixed cargo is sent normally. In that case, every kind of cargo is allowed. Now, under the Public Liability Insurance Act, a transporter firm is liable to pay the compensation to the persons who are owner of the goods. But policy is not mandatory. Policy is not compulsory as per the Act. This is as per the choice of the transporter firm. On the contrary, there is another Act, that is Motor Vehicle Act 1988, which says every vehicle has to be insured which is used on the public place. And the liability should be motor third party liability insurance compulsory, personal accident insurance cover. So the Act does not say that the package policy should be there, but Act says compulsory insurance must be there, at least to cover the third party liability. So that motor package policy is compulsory, but this carrier's legal liability insurance policy is not compulsory. This is still optional and as per the choice of the transporter firm. But the question is, no transporter can do the transportation business without this policy. Reason being, the possibility of loss or damage is there almost in every vehicle which is carrying the goods from one place to another place. Secondly, any vehicle can carry the goods which is owned or hired by him. Thirdly, it's a routine affair. Every day the vehicles are carrying the goods. So how long he will save? How much precautions he will take? Because once the vehicle is out of his godown, Now it is being driven by a driver, it is being taken care by the conductor or the cleaner or the other persons. So it is the negligence or carelessness of those people who are meeting with an accident or certain other kind of accidental losses which are beyond the control of the transporter firm. But since he is the person, he is the firm who has taken the responsibility to deliver the goods from one place to other place, he is the firm which has taken the freight from the owner of the goods to safely deliver it to the directed persons. So ultimately he is the firm or person who will pay the compensation to the respective persons of whose goods he is carrying. So the entire liability is shifted on the transporter firm. Even if the goods carried by them is insured under any insurance policy, maybe marine transit policy, still, if there is any loss or damage to that goods which is insured already, the duty of transporter is still to pay the compensation, not to the insured but to the insurance company, which will recover the claim amount from the transporter firm. So, under such circumstances, this is the only policy which is coming to the rescue of the transporter firm. But here one important thing is, when you are going to sell this policy to any of the transporter firm, you will face one critical situation, because we have come out with this policy just 2-3 years back. While the transporter firms are in operation since years together, maybe some 20-year-old firm is there, some 15-year-old firm is there, they are doing the transport business, they are taking the carrier legal liability policy from some insurance companies. Already their fleet policies are already running. So in that case, you have to take entry into the transporter's office. Once you succeeded in giving a carrier legal liability policy, another window is also open for you, that you can insure their all the vehicles which they are using for carrying the goods. Maybe their own vehicles or hire vehicles, because all vehicles are subject to insurance. And transporters are the firm which are normally taking package policy for all those vehicles, because they know the cost of vehicle is very high. Once it is meeting with an accident, so it is difficult to get them repaired at the own cost. So let us pay the premium for the package policy and let the entire risk of the vehicle should be covered. So this is all about the carrier legal liability insurance policy. Now if you have any questions, you can ask. Any 1 year. Premium, you just provide the basic detail. The underwriter will give you the premium quotation considering 3 major facts, and they are limits of indemnity, add-on covers, and GVW of all the vehicles. What is the carrying capacity? On that basis, the underwriter will give you the premium quotations, because the policy is very competitive. And in market, premium rates are very competitive. So unless you are getting the competitive rates, you won't get the business of this category. So it is better you give your proposal to the insurance company. Underwriter will provide you the rates. Certain products, not everything. You cannot say everything is declined. So obviously the hazardous risks are declined by almost all the insurance companies. And if they are covering, say like public sector insurance companies are covering these risks, so they are charging extra high premium for that. There is a list of all these chemicals in the tariff, fire tariff is giving the list of hazardous category, non-hazardous category, already classified. I suggest you one thing, sir. Whenever you get free time, give a look to the tariffs, though the tariffs have been dismantled. But tariffs are the Gita and Ramayana of insurance. Everything you will find in the tariffs. Because suppose miscellaneous D vehicles are there. So more than 56 category of miscellaneous D vehicles are there. Now in most of the vehicles we have never seen, most of the vehicles we have never heard, but the list is already there. We don't need to work on that. Similarly, the case, what products are hazardous, what products are non-hazardous, what are the common products. The entire classification is given in the tariffs. Of course, if you don't find the time, I don't compel you for that, but whenever you feel the time is there, you can utilize it. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes. It always differs company to company.